My voice, my videos, exclusively only on Screen Hoopla. Are the Iranians releasing names of officials who took bribes on the nuclear deal? Media outline headlines have been dominated over discussing regarding the current White House administration's decision to pull out of the Iranian nuclear deal from the Obama administration. While Democrats are furious, Republicans and the American public in general are elated. It is officially over despite former Secretary of State John Kerry's attempts to try and thwart its ending when he met with Iranian diplomats in Paris, France. But Iran is pissed, and now that Kerry's efforts did not work, and they are looking for blood, obviously. Our previous report on John Kerry's curious visit with Iranian diplomats in Paris, France, the always arrogant John Kerry is at it again. So John Kerry just left a meeting at La Avenue in Paris with 3 Iranians. A friend was sitting next to their table and heard JK, or John Kerry, blasting the real Donald Trump. The Iranians had a 5-person security detail and left in diplomatic vehicles. What was John Kerry doing in Paris Saturday at noon with 3 Iranian diplomats, while his president, Donald Trump, had just canceled the nuclear agreements? Obviously, the former catastrophic diplomat, who cannot even stand on a bike, does not fear being prosecuted for treason against his own country. He is a Democrat, and therefore he is protected. Admittedly, the FBI has indicted Michael Flynn, the National Security Advisor to President-elect Donald Trump, for identical but less serious reasons. He spoke with Russians during a cocktail party while he was still a simple citizen. Flynn is a Republican. All the force of laws apply, I guess. According to this report, Iran has not been taking kindly to the United States' recent actions regarding the Iran deal. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani told media outlets this last weekend that so long as Tehran's interests remain protected, that Iran is willing to remain within the 2015 nuclear deal. He and his foreign minister indicated they are interested in having it redesigned without the United States. Lambasting the United States' withdrawal is a violation of morals. Rouhani said that if the remaining 5 countries in the agreement wanted to stay, so will Iran. America's exit aims to bring the Iranian people's resistance, which is not new, but today's problem is not U.S. sanctions. It's that some officials look towards outside rather than looking at domestic potentials. Whatever this nuclear deal means for Iran is irrelevant. The current administration made the decision to come out in order to put America first. The Iran deal did not benefit the United States, only Iran. The Iranian politicians should not be emboldened to fund their nuclear program. Under the deal, sanctions were lifted, United Nations resolutions regarding Iran were annulled, and the European Union were forced to remove energy and banking sanctions. Former President Obama's Secretary of State John Kerry and a group of his former State Department officials have been unofficially busy being unofficial diplomats this recent week. Kerry has been lurking and clandestinely sneaking around the world trying to salvage his pet project just ahead of his May 12th renewal deadline. The Boston Globe reports that John Kerry's bid to save one of the most significant accomplishments as Secretary of State took him to New York on Sunday afternoon 2 weeks ago, where more than a year after he left office, he engaged in some unusual shadow diplomacy with a top-ranking Iranian official. He sat down at the United Nations with Foreign Minister Javad Zarif to discuss ways of preserving the pact limiting Iran's nuclear weapons program. It was the second time in about 2 months that the two had met to strategize over salvaging a deal they spent years negotiating during the Obama administration, according to a person briefed on the meetings. While on his clandestine, unofficially official diplomatic venture, Kerry has met with world leaders from Europe, including German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier, European Union official Federica Mogherini, and French President Emmanuel Macron in both Paris and New York, where they discussed sanctions and regional nuclear threats to both French and English. This type of rogue diplomacy is very rare for a former Secretary of State, and many may even consider it to be considered espionage or even treason. Kerry is reportedly actively working with world leaders and foreign governments to undermine American foreign policy and try to salvage the Iran deal. Apparently losing is hard. As the Globe notes, the effort to salvage the Iran deal highlighted the stakes for Kerry personally, as well as for other Obama-era diplomats who are dismayed by what they have seen as Trump's disruptive approach to diplomacy and who view the Iran nuclear deal as a factor of stability in the Middle East and for global nuclear non-proliferation. Of course, tell that to Hillary and her Arab Spring agenda. In fact, Kerry is conducting his meetings below the radar because he recognizes that they would provoke President Trump. Kerry is clearly significantly more out of bounds in that he is functioning in the capacity of a private citizen and not that of a member of the transition team for an incoming president. If you believe that the Logan Act was legitimately used as a means to question Michael Flynn, then how are you not demanding the same DOJ FBI investigation against John Kerry? There should be an equal application of the law. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has accused Iran of developing a secret project to test and build nuclear weapons before the 2015 Iran deal was reached. In a global televised address, Netanyahu unveiled a cache of 55,000 pages of documents and 183 CDs compromising Iran's alleged atomic archive of documents on its nuclear program. The files allegedly prove Tehran ran a secret program called Project Ahmad to test and build nuclear weapons. While Iranian leaders have long said their nuclear program is only for peaceful purposes, Netanyahu claimed this was not the case according to tens of thousands of pages of documents which he said were copied from a highly secret location in Iran. Those files allegedly detailed Project Ahmad, which Netanyahu described as a comprehensive program to design, build, and test nuclear weapons. These files conclusively prove that Iran is brazenly lying when it says it never had a nuclear weapons program. The files prove that wrong. Kerry responded to Netanyahu's evidence, stating that the documents were nothing new and simply prove that all that's needed are inspections to ensure that Iran is complying with the current agreement. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to see that agreement and if it is documented and signed, because the last time I checked, I don't even believe it was signed. John Kerry also tweeted, "Every detail PM Netanyahu presented was every reason that the world came together to apply years of sanctions and negotiate the Iran deal agreement because the threat was real and had to be stopped. It's working." John Kerry, according to this report, is coordinating his push with a group of officials who were his top advisors at the State Department and who helped craft and negotiate the Iran deal in the first place. The group, called Diplomacy Works, has an advisory council that includes lead Iran deal negotiator Wendy Sherman, former State Department Chief of Staff John Feiner, and former spokesperson Jen Psaki. The group claims to be responsible for 100 news articles, 34 television and radio hits, and 37 opinion pieces on the Iran question. They do fact checks of criticisms of the agreement and blast them out to an email list of nearly 4,000 policymakers and foreign policy experts, according to the Boston Globe. In other words, a former U.S. Secretary of State is working with his former colleagues to conduct U.S. diplomacy with foreign leaders with no official permission. We can only guess what the pitch is. He'll be out in 2020. Just hang on. Thank you for watching Screen Hoopla News. I leave you a link below for this article.